In this tutorial I'll show you how you can create this snake game, and we've released all of the code for free in our Discord. And note that I made this code myself, so if you see it anywhere else, they stole it from us. But I'll also explain all of the verse code in this video and how you can set up the different colors and different snake assets if you want to. And the grid size is fully customizable, so if you want a smaller play space you can do so easily, if you want a very big play space. So there's not really a lot to set up, but I'll quickly go through it and then I'll explain all of the verse. And the assets can be found for free in our Discord and also the verse code. So what you'll need is 4 input trigger devices. You can just find them. You search input trigger and drag 4 of these in your play space. And the first one we need is up, which will trigger whenever the player tries to move forward. So we'll set it to creative input action and then custom 7, which is the forward/back input. And then if you set it to positive, it will mean that the player is trying to move forwards. And the opposite for the down, which is the back input. And then we'll do the same for left, which will be negative, like it says here. And right, which will be positive. And you can just disable show on HUD here. Then I just set up a simple button. You can change the interaction text, interaction time, etc. here. And then in the first device, so once you've copied and pasted the first script in your first Explorer, so just create a new verse file here, name this and create empty, and just paste the verse in there. Then if you click build verse code, you'll see this verse class appear. And I just dragged out 3 of them to show you the different grid sizes. And you need to connect the button to open the snake game. And there's also a grid size parameter, so this determines the grid of the x-axis, and the y-axis is the same as the grid size -1. So if we enter 4 here, the x grid will be 4 tiles and the y grid will be 3 tiles. And if you enter another number here, it will do so automatically. But this is so the snake game can be played how it's supposed to be played. So the window size just determines how big the window will be displayed on your screen. And then the light color and dark color are the checkerboard tiles. So we have the light color, which will be alternated by the dark color to make the checkerboard pattern. Then the outline color is what will be displayed around the window, and the bar color is the color that's displayed at the top where the apples are displayed. And then in this movement section, just enter all of the up, down, left, right input triggers. And that will be all to customize your snake game. And for the grid size, just put it at like 10 if you want a medium snake game, and like 20 if you want a large snake game. If you put this at a very large value, it's going to take some time to load the game, but it will still work. It just needs some time to load. Then I'll quickly explain the verse. So first thing we have is a parameter direction, and the direction is an enum, so we have up, down, left, right, and none. And what we can use this for is to basically add an extra parameter for a subscribe function. And the subscribe function should be an agent function, and we're going to pass the t type, which is going to be direction, into this, and it will allow us to basically pass the direction that the player wants to go. So I'll show it in a minute, but we have another struct, and this is like same as vector2, but I made an int2 so we can determine the position more easily. And this is going to be the part of the snake. We have head, body, tail, and none. And then this is just the struct for the input triggers. We have up, down, left, right. And these are just the editables that we need for the game. And then we have a snake map, which has the agent as a key. And the value assigned to it is a tuple of the snake screen class, which is this one, which we're going to store the data of the snake game in and also update the UI. And then we'll have a optional array of cancellables, which are going to be the inputs. So on begin, we're going to subscribe to the interactive event with the open snake button, and then we're going to call open snake. And we're going to create a new instance of the class and set the main, which is going to be the snake game first device, as self, which is going to refer to this class itself. Snake agent grid size, we're going to pass these parameters from the editables. And then we're going to set the snake map with key agent to this value. And we're still going to set the cancellables to false. We're going to update these later. Then we call the add UI function, which I'll show in a second. And we're going to call the enable inputs. So in enable inputs, we just have each of the subscribe events. And we call the change direction function with the parameter direction used to also specify the direction that the player wants to move in. So you could have also done this with 4 separate functions, but I just cleaned it up. And then we store all of the subscribe functions as a cancelable, so as a constant, and then we set the snake map agent, the second part of the tuple, as the optional array of cancellables. And the disable inputs, which we'll call whenever the snake game ends, is going to iterate through all of the cancellables and cancel them, so they'll no longer be listening for the inputs. And then we just update the cancellables array to false. So we have a simple create message function for string to message, and the snake elements, which is going to be our linked list. If you don't know what a linked list is, it's basically a way to store a group of separate classes by only specifying the next part. So instead of iterating through a array of all of these snake elements, we just store the next part. So if we have our head, the next part is going to be the first body part, and we can easily track the positions of them by using the next and the previous elements. So in our snake screen class, that's going to be the UI, we just set all of the variables, etc. And also create a text block. We have a function for the moving direction, function for spawning an apple on the screen, and checking if the apple is eaten, removing the apple, and we're going to grow the snake here, and this will get the snake length. And as you can see here, we are going to loop through all of the singular snake elements and check if there is a next element. And if there is not a next element, it's not going to increase snake length and it's going to break. And this checks if the game has been won. And here we're adding the UI by setting the snake canvas to the init screen function, which will return a canvas, and adding the widget and spawning the actual game loop. And same goes for remove UI when we're also disabling the inputs. So the snake game loop, it just gets the part where it should spawn the first snake and its head and its body and its tail, and then it's going to set the first elements of the linked list and also set the moving direction, And then in the update snake loop, it's going to wait until a user has pressed the input, and then it's going to start the game. In the init screen, we just basically create the amount of tiles needed as separate overlays and stack boxes, and then we're going to store the texture blocks for each so we can update them. And we make a stack box overlay, another overlay, apple overlay, super final overlay, and the final canvas, which is going to be displayed as a widget. And then this is the end game function for when the user has eaten all of the apples and it's filled up the entire screen. And this is the update snake function. And this is for updating the snake textures. We're going to check if the element that we're currently iterating over is a head, body, or tail, so we can get the correct texture. And if we have a head texture, we only need to get the direction it's moving to. But for example, if we have a body texture, let's show. This is one of the body textures. So if it's a body part, we're going to need the direction it's moving to. For example, it's moving to the right, and the direction it's moving from, so from the bottom. So we can choose the correct texture. And then we have a function for making a row of tiles and for making the individual tiles. And this is for adjusting the position of the head based on the direction it's moving to. And these last functions are just getting the images. So I just quickly explain all of the first, but I hope that clears it up. So if you're trying to look for a function, the only things that you're probably going to change is maybe the colors. So I just put them as an editable, but if you want to change anything else, just look for it in here. It's not a very long script, it's only like 600 lines. So you're probably able to find it pretty easily. So if you do have any questions, leave them in our Discord server, but I think everything should be pretty straightforward. We're going to be releasing a lot more free code in the future, so leave your suggestions in our Discord, and we're also going to post announcements whenever we post a new free code.